Who said that? Porsha Williams coming back to Real Housewives of Atlanta? That's false. But Porsha Guobadia is in the building. See y'all. Mwah. Who said that? Porsha Williams coming back to Real Housewives of Atlanta? That's false. But Porsha Guobadia is in the building. See y'all. Mwah.
She's in a new chapter in her life. And a lot of people said, Portia's living her best life. It looks like she wasn't the one wrong here. And some of you have also said, not Porsha basically taking the name of a woman that was already on the show's husband. Tried to unpack that, tried to make sense of that. But a lot of people said, look, Fallon wasn't innocent. Fallon was sleeping with the babysitter. Fallon was sleeping with her assistant, allegedly. Not allegedly. It all played out, right? From what we know. Now, it seems as if Porsha will have a lot to answer for if the rumors are true that Kenya is also returning next season. There will be a lot of people that have questions about her husband, Simon Guobadia. Let's get into the court documents, and this is coming from our friends over at the Neighborhood Talk on Instagram. They write this. It says, neighbors, it looks like Simon Guobadia is fighting to receive naturalization from the U.S., but can't because he was cutting up while being in the U.S. on a visa years ago. So according to court documents listed Simon's background as the reason for his citizenship denial. So in August of 1982, he overstayed his visa. In September of 1987, he pleaded guilty to bank and credit card fraud, a felony offense. In January of 1989, he was arrested for unauthorized use of a vehicle, and in 1990, he was arrested for ID fraud. But he didn't stop there. Oh my God. Porsha. He would go on in 1991 to commit more credit card ID fraud. He couldn't just stop. He had to be physically removed from the United States. However, how in the hell did he end up being able to come back? And we still can't get Michael, Angela's Michael from Nigeria, to come here on a fiancé visa from 90 Day Fiancé. Is it because of people like Simon Guobadia? Probably. So they continue. It says, Simon would go on in 1991 to commit more credit card and ID fraud. He just couldn't stop. He had to be physically removed from the United States. However, before his removal, he used a fake identity to receive temporary residence status in the U.S. under the Special Agricultural Worker Program. Are you kidding? Before I continue, look. I like to give people grace. This was back in the 1980s and the 1990s. But to do this level of behavior, and then, look, a lot of content creators, when the whole Fallon, Porsha, love triangle with Simon Guobadia blew up, they were digging in his heels. They were finding out properties that he allegedly did not own. Was his money funny? Was he really rich? A lot of people were digging in regards to his background. And part of me was sort of like, okay, she's not on the show anymore. I just didn't care anymore. It's like, you like it, we love it. There was a lot of red flags around Simon. So do I believe his sketchy past is really his past? Not really. But the Neighborhood Talk continues. It says, as a part of the program, the SAW program, his temporary resident status was upgraded to permanent after a waiting period. So in December of 2022, Simon attempted to use the SAW program benefits as a reason why he should be eligible for naturalization. Mind you, he and Porsha were married by that time, right? Let me Google schmoogle that before we continue. Okay, so I Googled schmoogle. So they were married in November of 2022. However, they were already interacting during that time. They were dating. They were already engaged by the time we found out about their relationship. So maybe some of this came from encouragement from her. So why wouldn't he fill out like a marriage situation? Look, I'm not an expert in immigration law. We're going to speak to an expert in just a second. Back in December of 2022, Simon attempted, oh wait, no, it makes sense. So they were married in November of 2022. In December of 2022, Simon attempted to use the SWA program benefits as a reason why he should be eligible for naturalization. But the U.S. said hell no, because he only got into the program by using a fake identity. So why is he still in the country? If they knew that he was doing this, look, they've gotten rid of people for much less. But anyways, let's focus. So they said because he used a fake identity. It's important to note that even his marriages were listed as shams in these court documents. Even Valens? Okay, we're going to go through the court documents in a second. So they said on March 13th of 2023, Simon filed an instant complaint and asked the court to vacate the denial and remand with instructions to grant his application. So he was fighting this denial. Simon is now married to, as you know, Real Housewives of Atlanta star Porsha Williams. With all of this fraud and criminal activity, Simon is definitely giving Apollo Nida and Peter Thomas storylines a run for their money. Oh, hell, he is. But look, as I said to you guys before, when this whole love triangle situation even occurred, there were so many content creators that dug into Simon's heels. They had so much information on Simon. So I already knew that Simon had a very sketchy past. We didn't know the length of the sketchy past, but it feels as if, based off what some of these other content creators were reporting, it felt as if that past wasn't so far in the past. But let me just go through the court documents really quickly with you guys in regards to what is being said. So the court document says the case arises out of petitioner's application for U.S. citizenship and naturalization. They said the U.S. on August 11th, 1982, document number 1 through 4, he overstayed his visitor's visas, as we pointed out to you. In June of 1986, petitioner again overstayed his 6-month visitor visa, which happens a lot. You might be surprised. Like, these particular things, I don't hold too much against him, even though you should be following the rules. In September of 1987, petitioner was arrested for bank and credit card fraud. Now, that is a red flag for me. And pleaded guilty to a felony offense. He was arrested in January of 1989 for unauthorized use of a vehicle and again in May of 1990. And they didn't send him back to Nigeria? I'm so shocked by that. Okay, so January of 1991, petitioner committed another felony offense, credit card fraud. Before his March 1992 removal, okay, so this is when they removed him. However, on October 24th, 1988, petitioner used a different identity to seek temporary resident status under the Special Agricultural Worker Program. So I guess he didn't realize that they were going to dig into his past and piece everything together and be like, sir, based off your past, we're not going to make you a U.S. citizen. So they said when his SAW application was approved with these misrepresentations and omissions, this is important, with these misrepresentations and omissions that he probably thought they were not going to find? Sir, you were arrested. Okay. It's like there's a paper trail, Simon. Simon's not that smart, right? Okay. So he was given a registration card as a temporary resident on July 25th, 1991. All right. Petitioner received his permanent residency card on April 27th of 1992. I'm shocked that he even gave him that. So on December 22nd, 2016, petitioner applied for naturalization under his second identity, not his second identity. Are you kidding me right now? And was denied because of his temporary resident status was unlawfully granted. Lawfully, like, is he going to jail? We're going to get to that in a second. Is he going to be kicked out again? Is Porsha going to have to move to Nigeria? again, this is part of the reason why I believe that Porsha is coming back to the Real Housewives of Atlanta. I just said this, and I never shared this with you guys, but as soon as I heard this news, I was like, oh, wait, is she getting ready to leave this man? Is she getting ready? Is she setting herself up to leave this man? Just speculation. I don't know for a fact, but now with this. So they said on December 22nd, 2016, petitioner applied for naturalization under his second identity and was denied because of his temporary residence status was unlawfully granted. On December 31st of 2020, petitioner filed another application for naturalization. So he wasn't giving up. Following an interview with petitioner, USCIS again denied petitioner's naturalization application. USCIS explained that he was ineligible because he had not been lawfully admitted for permanent residence. His temporary residence status achieved through the SAW program and benefits had been based on a different identity. Porsha. And here's the thing, and again, yes, some of these things happened years ago, almost over 30 years ago. However, in 2020, in 2022, in 2023, he's trying to apply for something that he knows that he doesn't have legal standing to apply for. Okay. And he's doing it under another identity? Okay. Porsha, I hope you don't share too much information with him. So they also highlight this on March 13th, 2022, petitioner filed the instant complaint in this court and asked the court to vacate the denial and remand with instructions to grant petitioner's application. All right. So our friends over at the Neighborhood Talk this is why we shout out to all the attorneys. We really do appreciate you guys chiming in. So a immigration attorney chimed in the comment section and said this in regards to some of the questions from people that were in the comment section of the original story. So Gilman Immigration Law on Instagram says this. Whew. When you petition for citizenship, the government can go back and assess if your green card was lawfully obtained. From these facts, it appears material facts were omitted, which could have resulted in the denial of his green card initially. Now he risks losing his green card and being put in deportation proceedings again. But he has options if he qualifies, such as LPR, cancellation of removal. So another person, asked the question, says he got caught with felonies the first time and deported, came back under another name and committed more crimes, deported, filed fraudulently for temporary and permanent status. He's done. So this is from Jen Grady, Brooklyn. So Gilman Immigration Law responds. It says, immigration law is incredibly complex and not that simple. This agency makes mistakes all the time. Clearly. They mix up files and make reckless allegations. You absolutely cannot conclude that he is done without a diligent and complete review of the record, analysis of the allegations, and the relevant INA sections at that time. The law has changed in several parts over the last 30 to 40 years within the period of all of these things happening. I would fiercely defend this client against deportation if we have a path. There are a lot of waivers he may or may not be eligible for. Our law firm would have done a complete FOIA, Freedom of Information Act request, reviewed his entire immigration history before filing citizenship, and if these are true, advise not to file. We advise clients all the time to sit out naturalization proceedings after reviewing their record. So she's saying, before you even file to try to naturalize, we're going to make sure that that you're not going to get into the hiccups that Simon has gotten into. All right. So she says, all this notwithstanding, the government may still not move forward with removal proceedings, though very unlikely.